Stop. Would you kindly? Powerful statement, wouldn't you say? Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be completing BioShock Remastered. Not the original, Remastered. And we're going to go ahead and go for the platinum on this incredible game. Before anyone says anything, yes, I know. Platinuming is a PlayStation thing. It's not an Xbox thing. And you're playing on Xbox. I'm aware. Leave me alone. Platinuming is a better term than 100%ing all the achievements or getting all the achievements. PlayStation did it right by calling it platinuming. Xbox, take some notes on this one. This is a game that I've thought about for a long time and kind of like one of those games that I've always heard about playing, especially growing up in this era of like, late 2000, early 2010s when video gaming was at its peak, in my opinion, or at least at its height. When I was playing Halo 3, Gears of War, I had friends who were talking about this game and the incredible story that it laid out. So I'm excited to go through this today and tackle it with all of you guys and get this bad boy up and going. So as we go ahead and dive through this, I ask you to please stick around. Would you kindly hit that follow button? Would you kindly hit the subscribe button? And would you kindly tune in while we complete BioShock Remastered Platinum? Here we go. Step one of this process is going to be beating the main story. And for our first playthrough, we're going to be playing this on Survivor difficulty. In this instance, I chose to fuck around and find out. And let me tell you, was it miserable.
Dude!
We start out on a plane, ripping open a pack of darts and seeing a picture of our family aboard this aircraft when disaster strikes. We crash land into the Atlantic Ocean and find ourselves swimming for our lives, the only survivors. And we look up and see the entrance to this magnificent lighthouse with so many untold secrets. Enter this underwater submarine, we enter the world of Rapture, an underwater utopia operated by a maniac called Andrew Ryan. Luckily, in our adventure, we end up getting connected with Atlas. Atlas tells us that his family's trapped down here as well, and Ryan is holding them hostage. So not only are we trying to find a way out of here, we're also trying to help Atlas connect with his family. And would you kindly come along with me on this journey to see where we go? As we continue through Rapture, we come across these demon children called Little Sisters. We find out later that these girls were operated on and mutated, which is why they're now Adam-crazed lunatics. And of course, these little girls are protected by, you guessed it, Big Daddies.
Dude, I don't know the best way to kill this thing. Oh!
To say I hate these things is an absolute understatement. Ugh. I still hate these things, even after changing the difficulties on later playthroughs. As we made our way through the initial hellhole that was welcoming to Rapture, we find ourselves face to TV with Ryan himself. Here's where we find a safe haven in the medical ward and where we get our first achievement. This is also where we find our next few achievements for hacking different items, which becomes a crucial part of the game to unlock more loot and ammo in the game, especially when we need it a lot on this difficulty. As we continue through Rapture, we learn that Steinman, who was one of our first real targets of the game, is the madman behind the mutated Hook people we meet earlier in the game. This lunatic views the world as too cookie cutter, and this guy was out here pretending this was Jurassic World or some shit, trying to make the Indominus Rex. At this point, we finally find Steinman, who then proceeds to insult you by telling you how ugly you are and then tries to shoot you down. After we end up shooting him down instead, and after we make quick work of him, we find ourselves faced with our biggest conflict of the game. Dr. T is the person that has been experimenting with these little sisters. She wants us to save the girls and revert them back to being actual girls. Well, Atlas, on the other hand, wants to go ahead and kill them so we can get the most amount of Atom we can out of them to better benefit us, and we can go through the game with better benefits, better upgrades, more powers by the end of it. At this point, we choose to save them. This time.
Dude! Defeated Dr. Simon. Why are these achievements so delayed? Ow!
At this point, these words should have been the biggest clue I would have gotten for the rest of our playthrough. After saving the first few little sisters, it was time to figure out what Atom was actually used for. So we made our way to the vending machine here and decided to start buying some random upgrades and happened to pop another achievement. As we continue on, we run across the gatekeeper of the fisheries. He tells us the only way for us to get in is if we take some nasty feet pics of the spider splicers for him, and then he'll go ahead and let us in. Freak. I didn't know this guy was going to hire us for Feet Finder, but we got really good at taking pictures. After Feet Boy, we finally are close to getting Atlas reunited with his family. However, Ryan sicks the spider splicers on Atlas and his family that are inside the submarine. Right in front of our eyes, we see Atlas's family explode in the submarine. Following the explosive events that Atlas and I just went through, we find ourselves finding new resources, and we're deep inside the gardens, where we'll be building items to try and shut down Rapture. Our mission's no longer to get out with the family, but instead burn this place to the ground. On our quest to burn this place to the ground, we grab a few miscellaneous achievements, like invent one item, electrocute an enemy in the water, and completing 50 hacks. At this point, we found Langford, the individual that is capable of making a concoction to revive the forest and stop Ryan from killing off the forest. We're looking to save the forest and to stop everything Ryan is doing, because everything he does is wrong, right? After getting the ingredients, we set off gas in the gardens and restore the forests back to their former glory. Once we save the forest, we're cut off from Atlas and Ryan on our radios, and instead get connected with Sander Cohen. Sander Cohen is obsessed with his artwork. Again, another feet pick guy. Here he wants us to kill off 4 people living in this part of Rapture, then take a picture of them to complete his mural. Sounds easy enough, right? Normally it would be, if this game didn't have 2 major flaws. One, we find out about a little bit later. The other is that this game loves to crash often.
41 minutes. I just saved it and it crashed.
After reloading the game and getting us back on track, we've completed Sander Cohen's masterpiece, and he rewards us with a way out and back on our journey. Once back on our adventure, we're set out to complete an EMP bomb to crash the inner workings of Ryan's hideout, so we can take him out once and for all. On our way there, however, we grabbed a couple of achievements along the way, like the Ammo Inventor for making all ammo types, and then one for fully upgrading our weapon. Now that we're in Ryan's hideout, we find the biggest reveal in video game history. Atlas, or Fontaine rather, is truly the villain in this whole conversation. Fontaine has been using the phrase, "would you kindly," to mind control us to do his bidding and to kill the only man in the way of running Rapture himself. We're the reason the villain wins, and everything we know is now a lie. Escaping from Fontaine's trap, we end up escaping with all the little sisters we saved and to go to Dr. T's hideout to regroup and start the de-mind controlling process. And here's where we experienced another save crash.
40 minutes behind. God damn it.
Once we get back on track and we break the mind control process, we are now on our way to defeat the man we thought we were helping from the beginning. However, as we're chasing down Fontaine, he barricades himself behind a locked door, and the only way we can follow him is if we get a little sister to go through the doggy door and unlock it so we can get back in. The only way to do that is by becoming the thing we hate most. Becoming a big daddy ourself.
Dude!
In our process of becoming our own worst nightmare, we collected another achievement where we saved every little sister in the game, became the Big Daddy, take one picture of everything, fully research a few different things like the Leadhead and the Thug Boys, and now that all the little sisters have been helped, they guide us right to Fontaine. It's time to take on this crack addict
Peanut butter and crack city.
and put the whole city to bed. As I pierced his nipple one more time, the little sisters decided that enough was enough and decided to jump him and stab him repeatedly with their atom suckers. After that, the good ending credits rolled.
Great game.
Now that we've completed the first playthrough, it's now time to go through one more time. However, this time, we cannot use any of the checkpoints in the game, the Vita Chambers. That means if we die, then we have to go back to our last save point. As you know how badly the saves work in this game.
41 minutes. I just saved it and it crashed.
It's gonna be brutal. Since this was my second playthrough on a lower difficulty, it was like training with weighted gear on almost.
And I learned. I knew that my father would achieve the greatness he desired.
The enemies were easier, the headshots felt easier. Maybe I just got used to it, but as we were going through this playthrough, it was aimed at more of a cleanup run while we did it. And along the way, we gathered research for the spider splicers. Oh, I forgot there was another game crash.
Oh man, my game just crashed. Son of a...
Once we got back up and running, we got 4 fully upgraded weapons. The nitro splicers were fully researched. We got 5 weapons upgraded. Fully researched the Rosie. Hit the jackpot in Sandra Cohen's place. Invented 100 items. And then, of course, we went ahead, acquired all the weapon upgrades we could, and then fully researched the little sister. And then you would think that we'd probably progress onward in the game. Wrong. We had another game crash.
No.
Setting us back again about another hour. So as any reasonable, responsible human would do, we stepped away from the game and we came back several days later and continued the grind. Along the way, we got some more cleanup done, like fully research a bouncer. Oh wait, then we had another game crash. How could I have forgotten? Disaster struck. But you remember how I said that this was like playing with weighted gear on? It was. However, it wasn't mentally. Mentally, I was defeated at this point. I was over the game crashes. I was just an absolute broken man at this point. Please, send help. After I mentally recovered, again, we got back to the grind where we became a historian and got all the recordings in the game. And just like that, we were back to fighting Fontaine. And this one, no challenge at all. We easily got brass balls right out the gate. Now our next challenge began. At this point, we've beaten the game twice, both on the hardest difficulties. One where we had to reset at our save point as opposed to the checkpoints. The other just felt like we had no ammo whatsoever, and I was getting bone crushed by every single Big Daddy there was.
Dude!
But now we're ready to fully attack the DLC and take this on. The DLCs in this game are very much like time trial runs. You need to go ahead and accomplish a certain amount of objectives for each DLC, and then you need to do it within a certain amount of time. The first set of challenges were on the I in Team trials. In this, you needed to rescue the little sister. Another achievement was to collect all 5 roses. Another was to save the sister in under 3 minutes. And then you do it again without destroying a single turret. Wasn't too difficult once you got the hang of it. The next set of trials were the shocking turn of events challenges. After looking up some tips, I totally figured this out on my own. I got to work on completing it in under 4 minutes. Straight up just rescuing the little sister, charging up the Ferris wheel 9 times, and collecting all of the roses inside the level. Now, the first 2 DLCs out of the 3 were not too challenging, and were fairly straightforward once you got the hang of it. However, the Worlds of Hurt challenges were a bit more involved. In this DLC, you needed to complete the different areas to get to the little sister in the middle chamber. Think of it as a massive locking mechanism, and you needed to do every single section in order to unlock her. Here you needed to face every single enemy, and there was a slew of them in every single category. While doing this in the game, you needed to do it in under 15 minutes. You had to do it only with a wrench. And then after that, you needed to find every single rose in that category. Now, after I completed that, it felt like the game was over. It was complete. I could finally lay this one down to bed. But if you notice, video's not over, and we don't have all the achievements yet. There's one left. Do you remember when I said that there were 2 major problems with this game? And the game crashes was one of them? Well, the second one was the fact that the PhD achievement, where you take a picture and you maximize research on every single enemy in the game, wouldn't pop. After some extensive research, I found out that there's a very known problem in the remaster version, and it's a very commonly complained about thing in the community. So I scoured the internet and I looked for a couple of different things. One was, try it on New Game Plus. Did not work. Another was, you can try it in the DLCs. So I spent plenty of time snapping pictures in the DLCs. Also, did not click. And then a third thread on my final act of desperation said, it cannot be on New Game Plus. For some reason, it will not click. So instead, I started a whole new playthrough. Now, with that knowledge in hand, I set off on that new playthrough, and after going through the game yet again and taking pictures of everything that I could find and maxing it out as early as I could, it finally happened. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we made it. We achieved the platinum inside BioShock Remastered, and it was an absolute incredible experience, as long as you don't consider the game crashing 13 times and the fact that I almost had a heart palpitation with the PhD achievement not popping. It was an incredible game. I have nothing to complain about. I'm excited to see what BioShock 2 and Infinite have in store for me. No spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be playing those here shortly. We're going to play a game in between this one and BioShock 2. I think we're going to tackle Expedition 33, see what the hype's all about. But until next time, please like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon. Bye!